Hello, this is Gabriele Marcotte for ESPN, and today we have a world-exclusive interview with Toronto FC manager Edwin Morcar, who has never before spoken to the press in any country. Morcar has recently had great success at Toronto, winning the prestigious MLS Cup, as well as the Eastern Conference, which follows less successful stints at Aston Villa and Swansea City. So, Edwin, if I may, first of all, congratulations on winning the top prize in U.S. soccer. What do you think led to your victory?
Well, thank you very much, Gabriele, and I have enjoyed the success. First and foremost, I think it was down to the tactics that I used in the knockout stages of the MLS. In the regular season, we had played a 4-2-3-1 with a double pivot. That's two holding midfielders and an attacking midfielder. When we moved to the knockout stage of the tournament, I switched to play a 4-3-3 with three holding midfielders, the so-called triple pivot. I call this the mask versus the face of the more attacking game. One of the important factors that led to this success, I think, was the ability and the professionalism of the Toronto FC players to adapt to the new tactics. During the season, we had played a more attacking game. During the knockout stages of the tournament, we played a much more defensive game. And at one point, we went a goal behind in the semi-final, and I needed to switch back to the more attacking formation, and the players responded brilliantly and scored in the last minute of the game to take us into extra time. We eventually won on penalties. So I think the ability of the players to respond to my instructions, as well as those instructions themselves, are primarily what led to the success. I should also say the support of the Toronto FC board in allowing me to clear out the old dressing room and staff and bring in my own staff was a big part of the success too. And I have to thank the chairman and the owner, and of course my director of football, Nelson Rodriguez.
Gearing up for 2022, you've shipped out no less than 15 players and spent in excess of $80 million buying new players. Why change a winning formula?
I had arrived in the middle of the 2021 season, and I was not able to stamp my own image on the club and on the side. So I had to inherit a lot of players. Now, those players, like I said, followed my instructions, and they had good ability, but I have a certain way I want to play, and I look for attributes for those positions. So I brought in players that could closer fit the system that I want to play. That is not in any way a criticism of those players who I had at the club before, and I wish them all the best of success for their future. As to whether to change a winning side, I have every belief that Toronto FC will go on from the success to even bigger success in this season and beyond.
9 out of your 12 signings were players who played for you before at Swansea. What was your thinking in going for the same players that you managed before?
Well, like I said, Gabriele, I have certain attributes, traits, skills that I look for in certain positions. For example, I signed Greg Garza for Swansea. I also signed him for Aston Villa. I have signed him again for Toronto. This is because in a fullback, I look for pace, I look for tackling ability, I look for positioning, and I look for the stamina to be able to get forward when needed. I also like the additional ability of Greg Garza to take set pieces. So this made him a natural signing for Toronto FC. Similarly, when we come to the wingers, Andre Gray, for example, Josh Sims, These are also players I signed for both Swansea and Aston Villa, and that is because they have attributes that good wingers require: tremendous acceleration and pace, good crossing ability, and also the ability to score goals, which both Sims and Gray have done for me on many occasions. And we could go through every position and say the same thing. The centre-back, Ryan Porteous, is fantastic in the air, has very strong tackling ability, and this is what I wanted in my centre-back. Now, I have been blessed at Toronto with a very, very good ball-winning, holding midfield player, Michael Bradley, who is the captain of the club and is a fantastic servant to Toronto and a very, very good captain to have in the locker room. But I wanted to supplement Bradley with somebody who could pass the ball in midfield with short, elegant passes to retain possession when we needed to. But also I wanted a midfield player who could tackle as well. And that is why I bought Joe Allen from Swansea. He's been a great player for Swansea over the years, and he can still do a job, I think. I also, like I said, have the face and the mask at Toronto, and to play the more attacking game, I need playmakers, central attacking players, and for that I have bought Lanzini from Swansea, who had a very good second half of the season with me in the Championship, and also a huge capture for the club has been Cesc Fabregas, obviously a legendary player. We were very, very lucky to secure him. He took £120,000 pay cut to come, but Fabregas loves football so much he wanted to come and play in the MLS at the end of his career, and I have no doubt that he's going to be a great player for us. And Lanzini, he will fight with Lanzini for a place in the starting lineup. One of my philosophies when constructing a squad is inspired by Jose Mourinho, of course, the special one. Some people are now calling me the special one in the MLS, but one of the things that he always said was to maintain two players for every position, and this is how I have put together the Toronto FC squad for the coming season. We had a good keeper in Alex Bono. He did a lot of good work in the knockout games, saving penalties in the shootouts. But I wanted to give him, a competition for his starting place, and Cameron Dawson, very, very good keeper who I bought for Swansea. I have bought him again. When he was at Swansea, he was actually the reserve goalkeeper for me that season because I had a Brazilian goalkeeper back then called Rafael. But Dawson, I've given him the number 1 shirt, so this is his chance to make a name for himself. Similarly, at right back, I bought both Amian and Anthony Barilla. Both of them played for Swansea. Barilla is the backup right back, but over the course of a season, Barilla will get games, I have no doubt. And then over on left back, I mentioned Greg Garza, but I have also kept at the club Mavinga. Chris Mavinga, very good player, and he will compete with Garza for that left back slot. No player is guaranteed their starting place, and if Barilla and Mavinga play very well, they could very well be the starting fullbacks for the season. Then at centre back, we've managed to capture Matt Besler, who's a tremendously experienced American international, played with Omar Gonzalez many times, and they've won competitions together. And once again, they could win competitions together at Toronto. I mentioned Porteous, who I've brought in as well. And then there are some other options at centre-back. Amiyang can play in the centre. Also, Michael Bradley is a very good header of the ball. He's very good at marking, so he can always drop in at centre-back if we need him there. So we've got good centre-back options at Toronto. And then in the middle, like I said, we've got Joe Allen and Bradley. Bradley and Allen, I hope they will make a good partnership as the double pivot. But then if I need to play as a three, we've held on to Marky Delgado, who has very good tackling ability. I've brought in a youngster from the draft, Michael Baldissimo, and so those are some different options in the midfield there. We also have Akello, who's a young player, Noble Akello, who, he plays a good short passing game, and he could substitute for Joe Allen all season, possibly even, if he plays well, could start on occasion. And then we have good playmaking options. Like I said, there's Lanzini, there's Fabregas. We have also kept hold of Jonathan Osorio. And one of the things I'm going to be asking from Osorio this year is, can he come deep? Can he play? We know he can play in that classic number 10 role. But sometimes I'm going to be looking to play with the three midfielders across the middle. Sometimes all three will be ball winners, but sometimes I'll play with a deep lying playmaker. And Osorio could be asked to fill in there. Fabregas could play there, of course, or Lanzini could play there. And then on the wings, we've got very strong options. Andre Gray down the right, Josh Sims down the left. But we also have Bertrand Traore, who I've bought from Aston Villa, very fast player. And then, of course, Ericsson Gallardo, who was part of my MLS winning side. So very strong options in all areas. Then, of course, up front, we've got Altidore. But I have also brought in a very exciting Nigerian striker, lightning pace. He can play on the wing as well if need be, called Awoni. He's on loan from Liverpool for the season, and I hope he's going to push Altidore for a first team berth. Obviously, Altidore is a legend here at Toronto, so I expect him to start. But Awoni should be a very good squad player for us this year.
Do you have a playing philosophy? And how might we see this in the MLS this coming year?
Well, like I've been talking about, I'm very committed to the mask and the face. So when we play in the mask formation, it's the 4-3-3, the triple pivot, three holding midfielders. Then we also have the face, which is the 4-2-3-1. I mean, if I was to say my overall philosophy, it's win. Win the game. It doesn't matter if we do it pretty or we do it ugly. I am a pragmatist, if nothing else. But one of the problems that I had when I was at Swansea and also when I was at Aston Villa was conceding goals. And that was because at those clubs, the chairman wanted me to play attacking football always. But not every situation is right for attacking football. Sometimes you need to adopt some of the old Catenaccio style of the Giovanni Trappattonis of this world, and have the ability to grind out a result when need be. Now, I'm not saying that Toronto this season will always play in this way. I'm just saying that if the occasion asks for it, if it demands it, then it's good to have the option to do this. And thankfully, at this club, unlike at Aston Villa and unlike at Swansea, I am not constantly being forced by an activist board and chairman to play a certain way. And other than that, if you were to ask me for my philosophy, I believe that the game is won and lost in midfield. This is why the ball-winning central midfielders are the most important players in the team. Michael Bradley, our captain, is one of the very, very best. Not just in the MLS, in the entire world. He's one of the best midfielders in the world. Even at the age he is now, he is one of the best. And if the ball is surrendered in that central area of the pitch, I believe that more often than not, you will surrender the entire game. Other than that, probably one of the defining features of my sides will be pace, a lot of speed in the attack, and width. I'm a strong believer in wingers. There was a period in which the game kind of, they played with all of these diamond formations and, inside forwards and, roaming playmakers and so on. And I believe that pace, frightening dribbling skills, and wingers can make opposition defenses scared. You see the thing is with pace is that it gives you many options. You can catch a team on the break. You can exploit a lack of pace or age in their defense. It makes it very difficult to play the offside trap against you. So that forces a team to play deeper, which then means that you can push higher up the pitch. So there's a lot of benefits of having pace in the side. Yes.
Who are your football management heroes? Any influences in how you set up your sides?
Well, I have already mentioned two of them. In terms of the defensive side of the game, there is no better than Giovanni Trapattoni, who made his name in Italy in the 1980s with a formidable Juventus side. But then he did it again in Germany and elsewhere, one in Benfica playing this way. And then, of course, Jose Mourinho, who is maybe the all-time best at playing on the counter. I especially respect his Chelsea side of 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. They set up with a triple with the 4-3-3. But then later on, even when he was at Real Madrid and elsewhere, he had the triple pivot that I've been talking about, controlling that midfield space. So, but there are other managers who I have deeply respected. Alex Ferguson, of course, is the all-time best. Carlo Ancelotti at AC Milan did wonderful things in the noughties, and so did Fabio Capello at AC Milan earlier, and Arrigo Sacchi, of course, before him. So yeah, those would be the managers I would name as being good. I mean, a couple of other people I'll mention. I always thought that Sam Allardyce knew how to play the transfer market, and he had more tactical sophistication than people gave him credit for. So he would be another one that I would mention.
This is the first ever interview you've given to the press. At Swansea, famously or infamously, you got the director of football, Martin O'Neill, to speak to the media, and now at Toronto, fans typically see Nelson Rodriguez, who is seen as a corporate suit, on TV. Why don't you speak to the media?
Well, Gabriele, it is my firm belief that the media are scum and the enemy of the people. The only reason I am talking to you today is because Nelson Rodriguez has a contractual obligation and cannot make it today. And so I sat down with the board and they said, Edwin, please, can you go and do this interview? Gabriel Marcotti is a good footballing man. He'll, he's not going to ask you any silly questions. And in fairness, you showed me these questions beforehand. I'm happy to sit down to you, but I will let you know, Gabriele, in no uncertain terms. I think that the sort of organisations you work for and have worked for are the scum of the earth. They cause more harm than good. They've done tremendous harm to the modern game, but also more broadly, the media is the enemy of the people. I have no more to say about it.
So, why are you speaking to me?
Like I explained, it was a contractual obligation. I'm doing it as a favour to the board to repay the faith they've shown in me, and I studied some tapes of interviews that you had done before. I looked at some of your writing, and I said, okay, out of all the journalists, Gabriel Marcotti, he's going to be fair, but don't let that go to your head, Gabriele. You're the best of a bad bunch.
Okay, let's talk about some of your experiences in English football. How do you think your time at Swansea City went?
Well, Gabriele, I think that I was given a hard time when I first arrived by the Swansea fans, and there were some difficult results. It took time for the club to adjust to how I wanted to play. It took time for the players that I bought to adjust to the club as well. We made a lot of changes when we first arrived, and maybe I made some mistakes there. But I think that after a difficult start, by the end of the season, we were playing some tremendous football last year. We finished 10th. It was a good finish. And if you have a look at what has happened at Swansea since Edwin Morcar left, you will see that I did better than people who, supposedly are some of the great names in the game. So maybe the Swansea fans miss me more than they think. You don't always know what you've got until you've gone.
You suffered some heavy defeats there, famously 6-0 against Norwich, 5-1 against arch-rivals Cardiff, 6-2 against Reading. What went wrong in those games, and how have you learned from this?
You see, this is what I mean about the media. You're always, you like to stir, don't you? You like to bring up these sorts of things. But since you ask, like I said, one of the problems at Swansea was that there was heavy pressure from the chairman to play in a certain way. They always wanted attack. It was always attack. Well, the trouble is that you cannot always play attacking football. And if it goes wrong, if you come up against a stronger club, it can go very wrong. And that's what happened on these occasions when we had heavy defeats. If I had been allowed to play with some more tactical sophistication at Swansea, maybe we wouldn't have had these defeats. If I look back on those games, I think most of them, like I said, would have been lost in the midfield. Probably we were just playing with one holding midfielder. I would have liked to play with two or even three. So this is what had gone wrong. By the end at Swansea, I was playing with the two central mid with the double pivot behind Lanzini, and as long as we had the double pivot, our results were better. And I have no doubt that we would have done better had we played with that double pivot earlier. The other problem that we had at Swansea near the start was that like I mentioned, one of my great management heroes was Arrigo Sacchi. Well, If you have a look at that AC Milan side, they play with a very high line, and I wanted to play with a very high line at Swansea to ape that kind of high pressing game. The problem we had, well, there was two problems really. One is that it's all very well and good playing with an extremely high line when your defence is Tassotti, Costacurta, Baresi, and Maldini. My defence, with the greatest respect to my players, was not that. So that was one issue. The second issue we had is that the midfield was aging. I had Sonny Montari at the age of 36. I had a couple of other players, Joe Allen, who I've mentioned, and really it was asking too much of those players to play that very, very high tempo pressing game. So we needed to slow things down. We needed to drop deeper. We needed to retain possession a little bit more, and also when required to play on the counter. So that was the problem in those games. Thanks for bringing them up.
What do you think went right at Swansea?
Well, like I said, I think after the January transfer window, I was able to bring in Lanzini as the playmaker. We were able to play with the double pivot. It was usually Badu and Joe Allen behind Lanzini. Sometimes we had other players as well. And then, like I said, dropping deeper helped us get some better results. And we had a really good run at the end there. If we'd have played like that all season, we maybe could have got promoted.
You spent a lot of time and effort getting the Swansea squad ready for the 2021-22 season, but then left abruptly to join Aston Villa after 2 games. How and why did you join Aston Villa August 2021?
Well, Gabriele, I'm a young manager. You don't get a chance to manage a big Premier League club like Aston Villa every day. And so when they came in, I wasn't planning on leaving Swansea. I was planning on building a legacy there. Like I said, I thought the results there were very promising signs towards the end of the previous season. But when Aston Villa came, it was difficult. It was difficult to say no. They were offering me backing. They were offering me money. And so, with the best of respect to the Swansea fans, it was an offer too good to turn down.
You only spent 10 games in charge at Aston Villa, barely a month before leaving in October 2021 to join Toronto FC. It wasn't exactly a good start at Villa. What would you say to those fans who think you left them in the lurch?
Well, first of all, what I would say, Gabriele, I have nothing against Aston Villa. They're a great club with a great tradition and a great history and great fans. Okay? But what I've got to say is, I did not leave them in the lurch. The board left Edwin Morcar in the lurch. I was trying to do my job at Aston Villa, but constantly, absolutely constantly, I had an activist board trying to tell me how to play, trying to tell me which players I needed to sign, trying to tell me which players I had to keep, trying to stop, constantly blocking me from selling players. I can't work under such conditions. I do not agree to work under such conditions. Here at Toronto, there is no such activist board. The chairman backs me. The owner injects funds when they are required. They do not get in the way of the transfer policies of the club. And this was my fundamental problem with Aston Villa. This scourge of the modern game, the activist board.
Since you've already left 2 clubs now without warning, can you reassure fans at Toronto that you won't do the same?
Well, first of all, no matter what happens here, I am a champion with Toronto FC. We won the MLS Cup. We won the Eastern Conference. And the fact that we have won the MLS means that we have a chance to play in the CONCACAF Champions League next year, which I want to win. And if we win that, I have my sights on winning the FIFA World Club Championship. That is my ambition at Toronto. I want to make Toronto world champions. And I will stay as long as that ambition is unfulfilled. If the board will have me and if the fans will have me. It is my word.
What are your ambitions in football?
My ambition is to be a winner. I want to win as many competitions as possible. At Toronto, we're going to build a legacy. We're going to win the MLS Cup again. We're going to win the CONCACAF Champions League. We're going to win the World Club Cup. Everything that is possible to win at this club, I will win. Because I am a born winner. I have been named the third best manager in Welsh history. By the time I'm through, I will be the number one manager in Welsh history, with all respect to John Toshak.
Do you have a message for the Toronto fans?
Yes, my message is this. I love the Toronto fans. There they are, some of the best football fans in the entire world. I realise that here in Canada, they like to play their hockey and their American football and all of these other games. But, you know, we're building a tradition here. And what I see in this country is more and more people are into what they call soccer. I think allowing Toronto into the MLS was a huge deal. Yeah, we're building a great thing here, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Edwin Morcar, thank you very much. This has been Gabriele Marcotti for ESPN. Be sure to like and subscribe.